All right, guys, we are here this morning. Good morning. It is Monday. Whew, hopefully you guys are doing well today. All right, guys, we are here this morning. Good morning. It is Monday. Markets futures are mostly gapping down today after Moody's downgraded the U.S. sovereign credit rating from AAA to AA1 due to concerns over rising national debt and fiscal instability. This has led to a decline in stock futures, a decline in indexes or indices, as well as a rise in treasury yields, with the 10-year climbing up to 4.54% and the 30-year nearing 5% here. If we take a look at the 10-year treasury, again, it is rising. A more hawkish day today because of the fears. You can kind of see it spike after Moody's did this. So like, look, so you can see the spike in the 10-year right here, starting really on like Monday when this was announced, or not Monday, I'm sorry, Friday when this was announced. And this has kind of been dragging markets down all weekend. Nasdaq's opening up red. You can see the 10-year now over 4.5% this morning. Let me know if the sound is good. We should be pretty good, but let me know if it's good. But yeah, we got 4.54% on the 10-year treasury yields. You can see the SPY. If I put up the previous close, which will be the light blue line right here, you can see how deep we're opening up red this morning. It's not like crazy deep, but we're still definitely pretty red today. Here's the previous closing price, and this is where we are now on the SPY. Palantir a little red, Nasdaq definitely red in the same context as well for the same reason. And yeah, markets are down. We also did a poll this morning, so you can go ahead and vote on that poll if you haven't already. The question we're going to ask is just, does the market rebound before the opening bell today? 66% say no, 34% say yes. Yeah, definitely watching the 10-year today. Bitcoin over the weekend, though, did break 105,000, got up to 107.5s in futures, which is probably about 106. 106.5, 106.8 or so in actual Bitcoin price. So 106,000 Bitcoin, good sign. It's bumped all the way down this morning though to 103s, but it did rise a little bit over the weekend. Oh, I'm just drinking my coffee, waking up a little bit. Let me catch up on the chat. What's up, chat? Let's see what you guys are saying. What's up, Matt, Faye, Pawn, Demetrius, Joshua, Melody, Sam, Ryan, Todd, Dan, Hoddle, Danny. Yeah, I mean, the Moody's downgrade is going to at least temporarily affect things, and markets are down this morning. Whether they will continue, we don't know. We'll have to wait and see. We do have the Fed's Bostic speaking this morning. He says the Moody's downgrade will cut across economics and financial markets, according to CNBC. So the Fed's Bostic, you can see that quote that he just said here. Yeah, he said the Moody's downgrade will cut across the economics and financial markets on CNBC this morning. We should have some... CoreWeave announces intention to offer $1.5 billion of senior notes. The UK government releases further details on the EU reset deal. Discussion of details of each commitment will continue, in the UK and EU will also agree security and defense partnerships. Intel unveils new GPUs for AI and workstations. And then remember, next week we got NVIDIA earnings. So this week's pretty slow. We don't have a lot of stuff. We got some Fed speakers. So, and that kicks off today in terms of the Fed speakers and what's going on in markets and economics. Starting at 8:45 this morning, we got John Williams speaking, New York Fed president. We also have Philip Jefferson, which is the Fed vice chairman. Philip Jefferson, I mean. And aside from that, we don't really have anything else. We got the U.S. leading indicators. Tomorrow, we got more Fed speeches at 9 a.m. We got Tom Barkin at 9:30. We got Susan Collins at Fed Listens. They might say some stuff regarding the economy. That's probably worthwhile to listen to. Even though Jerome Powell's not speaking this year at the Fed Listens report, it's still worthwhile to probably listen to what they say tomorrow, especially at 9:30 for the Fed Listens. Susan Collins, speech. Wednesday we got Tom Barkin and Michelle Bowman speaking in the Fed Listens event. Thursday we got jobless claims, some other stuff, and then Friday we do have Jerome Powell at 2:40 on Sunday. So 2:40 Sunday, Jerome Powell will speak, and we'll stream that live as we do. And that's prior to next week, which is a very busy week. Like next week, we got something going on basically every day. I think Monday next week is closed though, so we got Memorial Day Monday, and then basically every day since then we're busy. So the most interesting day this month, I would say, is Wednesday, May 28th. Wednesday, May 28th is NVIDIA earnings, but it's also, we got, prior to NVIDIA earnings, we have the FOMC minutes report, which I like because I can cover one and then immediately pivot to the next one. And so again, we got the Fed minutes report Wednesday, and then we're gonna have NVIDIA earnings after that. So that'll be a very volatile afternoon of markets. When is the earnings call for NVIDIA? Don't make it 5:30. And then NVIDIA also has some type of show. Okay, so it's at 5. That's good. June 28th, NVIDIA has their meeting of stockholders. Hey, all good, pawn. Going in today, I wonder about overbought anyways. Indexes maintain rallies to end the trading week with serious gains. The S&P 5th straight. NASDAQ composite 7% on the week. The Moody's downgrade is going to cause any stock that needs capital to fall, but big companies like NVIDIA actually making hold a lot of money will be better off. Yeah, that's probably true. Yeah, Bitcoin ran yesterday. We got up to 106, 107, almost 107s. Depends on where you look. Futures got up to like 107.5, but everything else did not. Yeah, so Moodys was involved with the Big Short stuff. So basically the problem, like one of the things that made, okay, so Michael Burry, I think it was in like 2006, started shorting mortgages. In 2006, he looked through them, he realized that they were crap. Basically started shorting them, and he worked out a deal. It was a derivatives deal where depending on the rating that the mortgage bonds would get, he would either have to pay money or he would make money. They would do so. One side would have to give the other side payments based on how the mortgages were rated by Moody's. And so by 2000, and I think they started this in like 2006. But by 2007, 2008, stuff started to fall apart in mortgages. And so Michael Burry would reach out, I think it was to BOA and Bear Stearns and some other places. He would reach out to the banks that he did this deal with, and he would say, hey, mortgages are failing everywhere. Where's my money? Like, y'all are supposed to give me some, like, where's my money? You know, like and Moody's would say, oh, no, they're still AAA rated. And Burry would say, hey, like, these mortgages are failing. They're very self-evident. They're falling apart. They're not doing good. Like, I shouldn't have to pay you money whenever mortgages are failing everywhere. You know these mortgages are not AAA rated. And Moody's would say, no, they're AAA rated. Eventually, Burry found out that Moody's was afraid to give them any type of low rating because they would go shop around elsewhere for their ratings if they did, is what happened. And so it was a little bit of, nonsense going on there with Moody's. Eventually it worked out for Burry, but, it made it a lot more stressful position for him when he was shorting mortgages in 2008. But yeah, Moody's was the one, the one that was giving them the wrong ratings in 2008. I don't take too much weight into what they say, but this is an important thing. It's going to influence leverage and loans a lot. Fed Bostic leaning much more into one rate cut this year. Yeah. Yeah, and if we take a look at the rate cut expectations here, that's one thing we haven't looked at today. It's still 91 to 10% likelihood that we're going to pause rates. It's still very unlikely that we're going to raise rates next meeting in June. Still very improbable. So this is June 18th. So on June 18th, we have the next rate decision. And again, it's very improbable that we are going to pause, or we're going to cut. Only about an 8% chance right now. 92% chance that we're going to pause rates in June. Yeah, my kids are doing finals. Bro, they got a freaking 11-year-old doing finals here in Texas. I don't agree with it. You know. Like, I didn't have to do finals at all. At 11? It's crazy. It's crazy. All right, so Bostic said there's a scenario where tariffs become less of a story over time. The treasury markets are functioning quite well. Inflation not moving to target as fast as anticipated, and uncertainty means there's a higher risk the Fed only controls one part of the price of capital. Yeah, Bitcoin got up to 107s. Yeah, but Bostic still saying the treasury market's functioning pretty well here. He said, I'm leaning much more into one rate cut this year. If the tariff transition is longer, it may impact consumer behavior. So we'll see. We'll see. Bostic says, I worry a lot about inflation. About the inflation side of our mandate. As things get more expensive, it will affect investment. Bostic. Fed's Bostic. Yeah, so we got Fed speakers all this week. So like this week we don't really have a lot of conventional like catalysts that I cover. We do have some Fed members speaking a lot this week though. So we do have a lot of Fed members speaking. Not really big earnings. Like we've got some morning earnings. We got like Home Depot on Tuesday, tomorrow. Yeah, we got like Pony AI, Home Depot. We got Billy earnings. Aside from that, it's pretty slow. We got Target earnings on Wednesday morning. TJ Maxx, Wix, Baidu, Medtronic. The biggest earnings this week is probably Wednesday evening, which is Snow, S-N-O-W. That might influence tech and AI. Snow, S-N-O-W, is going to be at 4:05 p.m. Eastern time on Wednesday. And so that's one of the earnings to cover. Or we're probably not going to cover it, to be honest. I'm not going to stream it. It's just not big enough, to be honest. It's not worth it. But, we'll see what happens. Yeah, well, Louisiana is very well known for its not great schools. Louisiana is like, I love Louisiana, but its schools are not good. Not good schools. It's some of the worst in the country. I'm pretty sure. Let me see. Number 1's New Jersey, 2's Florida, 3's Colorado, 4's Utah. We go all the way back to the end. I already know Louisiana is going to be towards the end of the school. Louisiana is number 46 out of 50. It's the number 50 best state overall. Oh, man. Higher education is number 49. Out of 50. New Mexico's last. Alaska's second to last. Oklahoma's third to last. West Virginia's fourth to last. Louisiana's fifth to last. So it honestly wasn't as low as I thought it would be. Yeah, so Bostic is saying, I am not hearing that large layoffs are imminent. That he's not hearing large layoffs are imminent. I don't know. But Bostic's saying he's not seeing that, which is good. I mean, when does GDP come out? I think GDP comes out next week. Yeah, so we got the first revision GDP data coming out next week. The last time GDP showed up at a negative number at minus 0.3% for quarter one 2025. Minus 0.3% Q1 2025. The first revision of that GDP report is next Thursday. Not this Thursday, it's next Thursday. And it's expected again. Well, I'll have to wait and see what the expected number is. But last time it showed up at minus 0.3%. We'll see if they change. But yeah, next week, very busy. Very busy. And then the week after, I'm pretty sure is busy too. Let me check. I'm pretty sure the week after we get payrolls, unemployment, and more. Let me make sure. The week of June 1st. Yeah, we got ISM data. Tuesday we get jolts. Yeah. Wednesday we get non-farm employment and ISM services. Thursday we get jobless claims, I think. Yeah. Friday we get non-farm payrolls, unemployment. Yeah, so all right, just checking everything. When is the Tesla robotaxi day? Yeah, I'm checking this. So I'll have to look to see when exactly the date is for this robotaxi event. He said it's next month, is when he says. He says it's next month, so it's going to be in June, which means it'll be after NVIDIA earnings. Let me see. I gotta look up Tesla events. I don't care about any of this stuff, bro. I want to see the robotaxi event. Chat, have you figured it out yet? Let me see. In the eyes of credit agencies, the government isn't being serious about getting its fiscal house in order, hence the credit rating downgrade. The downgrade was based on data and investor sentiment, nothing to do with politics. Oh, you're not talking to me, you're talking to somebody else. Yeah, yeah. All right, so Samana announces acquisition of data center infrastructure manufacturing business of ZT System from AMD. Yeah, I covered the robotaxi event here. Austin. Yeah, I'm still looking for the robotaxi event. June 30th? Tesla initially targeted June 1st. Internal reports suggest the launch could be more likely around June 30th, apparently. Internally, the deadline is seen as more aspirational than a firm date. Yeah, so we don't know when it's at yet. I guess there's no hard date for this yet. Yeah, we covered that one, Faye. So yeah, we covered that one already. All right, guys. Yeah, well, markets are down. Markets are down. We're getting this pullback, this dip now. All right, we're at 2111.70s on the NASDAQ. We will get ready to day trade live. We'll see what happens, but we will get ready to trade live. All right, so Bosick says we may be at a point where the distance between sentiment and data starts to narrow. Inventory rundown may be nearing an end. The market volatility in April did not feel that close to a significant financial event, and even the reduced tariffs on China are economically significant. Yeah, I mean, we've seen something where economic data is getting less interest this morning. Or not this morning. We've seen something where economic data gets less hype, less movement, to be honest. So we're not really seeing like the big crazy movement that we once saw. Just to imagine if they release that report before the closing bell Friday. Yeah, I mean, I don't know. Bulls will own today. We're opening it up pretty red this morning. SQ heading from 24 to 30 either today or tomorrow. Maybe. Yeah, I mean, it's not a crazy big pullback. It's not like, look. Again, it's easy to put a daily chart up here. Here's the SPY, right? We are currently at 587s. And so we basically are right here. So the pullback is definitely not the end of the world. Like, we're basically right here in the SPY. So is it a small pullback? It's somewhere in the middle, but it's not the biggest pullback you've ever seen either. And so yeah, we're somewhere in the middle. All right. Alright guys, we're sitting tight here waiting. I'm going to be trading. Again, I'm trying to get funded on Top Step's new dashboard here. So that's what we're going to be working on. Toyota Motor says its other firms considering borrowing up to the Japanese $3 trillion to fund planned tender offer for Toyota Industries. NVAX says 2026 and 2027 they expect to reduce its research and development and SG&A expenses to about 350 million and 250 million USD respectively. So that's going on right now. Okay. Alright, and like I said, we are going to be trading put this up in full screen. Alright, pull this up. Let me shrink this a little bit. Pull this over. Maybe we'll put 2 up. There's the NASDAQ. We put a Palantir right here too. We're under the 200 exponential, and so we're watching that level very closely. Palantir also been on a heck of a run, but finally starting to dip down. After holding pretty firm all week last week, Palantir starting to come down a little bit. We'll see if it holds. Yeah, is the music loud? I don't know. I don't think it is, but no, we don't really have any big catalysts. Yeah, if you hit the like button yet, hit the notification bell. I appreciate it. Crypto's not. I mean, crypto went up to 107 over the weekend. It's back down to 103s, but it's not going to go straight up. I'm not really worried about crypto here. I hear it, but I wouldn't say it's loud. Okay, that's good. I can turn it down a little bit if you guys want me to, but just let me know. What's up, drop? So that downgrade is not a catalyst. Well, I mean, it's definitely a catalyst. You can read it at the top of my screen here. What he's talking about usually when people ask me, hey, is there any catalyst today? What they're asking me is, do we have any economic data that is getting released at 8:30 or 10 or whatever? That's something that people tend to tune into my channel for a lot, is economic reports. So we cover like CPI, PCE, GDP data, Jerome Powell, Fed decisions, Fed meetings, Fed announcements, stuff like that. And in that context, we don't really have any big reports today. We got a bunch of Fed speakers coming out later on this morning. And so we do have some Fed members speaking today, but it's not Jerome Powell. It's not Jerome Powell speaking. It's specifically today we have John Williams. We got Philip Jefferson speaking at 8:45, and that's in about an hour. So once they start speaking, we will start covering that. But we're gonna have to wait, and we're gonna have to wait and figure it out. Yeah, sorry, I'm putting some stuff up so I can track some stuff here, especially while I'm day trading. I'm gonna put a 5-minute chart up. All right. Sorry, I'm just tracking some stuff here. Definitely a downward trend this morning. CoreWeave is entering the loan facility for up to $2.6 billion. I think I covered that earlier. I saw that news come out earlier. But yeah, we're kind of going up and down, up and down. I don't know if it's really easy to track markets right now. Here's the NASDAQ. I can put the SPY up. You can take a look at Apple. a lot of stuff's opening up red. Again, if we put the previous close up here, which is somewhere, let me throw this on. Previous close at 211 for Apple. We got like Meta here, 627s. Tesla down at 330s. So Tesla's had Tesla's so volatile. It was at 350s. Now it's back down to 330s. Trying to get higher here. So I think 350 is obviously a big level for Tesla that we're going to watch. We'll see if that holds. But yeah. How did the market do the last time we had a Moody's downgrade? I mean, it almost always reacts negatively to a downgrade. It's pretty standard. I mean, we could ask. Let me see. Let me look this up. So yeah, big story today. Moody's downgraded U.S. Sovereign credit rating from AAA to AA1 due to concerns over national debt and fiscal instability. It's led to a decline in stocks and futures, a rise in treasury yields. 10 years over 4.5% right now. 30 years nearing 5%. So just to put it into perspective in terms of where interest rates are because of the downgrade. Again, we did have U.S.-China truce announced last week. The U.S. and China have agreed to a 90-day pause on implementing new tariffs, reducing reciprocal tariffs from 125 to 10%. A 20% tariff, however, on Chinese imports related to some other stuff is in place. The U.S. has imposed 25% tariffs on imports from Mexico and Canada, excluding Canadian oil and energy exports, which are taxed at 10%. Canada and Mexico have responded with their own tariffs, leading to concerns about disrupted supply chain and increased customer prices. We have a lot of Fed members today speaking. Again, I think the big ones started at 8:45 this morning, Eastern time, 8:45 Eastern time. So, yeah. We got Vice Chair Jefferson, Governor Bowen scheduled to speak this week. A lot of people watch theirs. They're speaking at the Fed Listens event. A lot of the time, the Fed Listens event will have Jerome Powell, but not this year for some reason. Again, we had housing data show up last week. April's housing data and building permits came in under expectations, indicating softness in housing. UMich Consumer Sentiment Index dropped to a historic low of 50.8 in May. Inflation expectations rose last week again. As we covered on Friday. This week we got earnings from Home Depot, Lowe's, Target, TJ Maxx, Ross, Ralph Lauren, and more. Another big one is Snow, SNOW. It's a tech stock. Palo Alto, Ryanair, Trip.com, and more also reporting earnings in tech. Again, NASDAQ's opening up weak this morning. Although, here's the broader trend. I think we're in a slightly upward trend. We've been moving up since about 3 a.m. this morning, although we did go down a pretty significant amount here. We'll have to draw some levels on my charts and watch for things. But, yeah, we'll see what we get. Let me pull up Discord. My kids are almost done from school. Yeah, Nvidia also debuted some stuff today, so let's put up Nvidia. Nvidia announces humanoid robotics customer AI infrastructure offerings at Computex. Yeah, so Moody's downgraded U.S. Treasury Secretary Bassett on Sunday said that tariff rates will go back to reciprocal levels if trade deals aren't made during this 90-day pause that we're in right now. He said, quote, President has put them on notice that if you do not negotiate in good faith, you will go back up to your April 2nd level, according to Bassett. Yeah, I'm going to delete that pawn if you're listening. Yeah, it's so hard to watch. People go crazy, man. All right. Yeah, sorry, I had to clean up our Discord. Let's check back up on the chat. What's up, chat? About a month ago, I told chat financial repression would be coming and still stand by near future capital controls on foreign investments. Maybe. We'll see. Who knows, man? Yeah, I'll have to check that, Paul. My bad, bro. All right, so Salmon is going to buy Z2 Systems from AMD. Yeah, they announced the acquisition of data center infrastructure manufacturing business of ZT Systems from AMD. Yeah. Let me see when the last time. Alright guys, Nvidia at 131 still very strong. Freaking AA. I said, hey, when was the last time Moody's downgraded the U.S. credit rating? They said, oh, it was May 16th. It was Friday. Of course it was, AI. I'm talking about before that. So you might be right. It says, prior to the recent downgrade, Moody's has never downgraded the U.S. sovereign credit rating. Since assigning the U.S. its top-tier AAA rating in 1917, Moody's maintained this rating for over a century. The downgrade to AA1 in 2025 marked the first time Moody's ever lowered the U.S. credit rating. In contrast, other major rating agencies downgraded the U.S. earlier. Standard & Poor's in August 2011, citing concerns over political gridlock and rising debt. Fitch, August 2023, also lowering the rating to AA+ due to its fiscal deterioration and repeated debt ceiling negotiations. Interesting. All three credit agencies now assign U.S. a rating below AAA, reflecting concerns about fiscal trajectory. Interesting. Interesting. Yeah, so Moody's. Yeah. So this is the first time Moody's has downgraded them. But honestly, to be completely honest, Moody's just a little bit late is what this really is. Like Fitch did it in 2011. Standard & Poor. Standard & Poor did it in 2011. Fitch did it in 2023. Basically the same thing. Alright, so yeah. Yeah, so we're doing a post on x.com. Give me a follow on x.com at Beginner Trades. Very easy. Yeah. If you want to see the post we made, kind of breaking all this stuff down, here is the link. It's at Beginner Trades. At Beginner Trades. There you go. There's the link right there in chat. Yeah, I like Gemini a lot. Honestly, I really do. I do like Gemini a lot. Where's UNH? Is UNH bouncing back? We talked about this last week. Yeah. I mean, and people asked me, and I told them I thought it would probably bounce back, but I just wasn't interested in buying it. Because I'm not. It's too... I don't like healthcare stocks, regardless of how cheap they are. And this thing's back up to over 300. I know a lot of people said they bought, like, call options, too. So hopefully y'all are making money. If so, good job. I don't think we have ever seen all three agencies saying U.S. bonds are not risk-free. Yeah, I mean, that's true. But again, like I said, I think Moody's is just a little late. The other two did them. One did it in August 2 years ago, and then another one did it in 2011. So I think Moody's is just a little late here. Yeah, I'm not gonna mess with that. I don't think. Yeah, so Australian judge rules that Bitcoin is a form of money which could make it exempt from capital gains tax. So a judge said Bitcoin is just another form of money, which means it could be exempt. A decision that upends the Australian Taxation's Office approach to taxing crypto and could open the door to millions in refunds. The judgment, made public for the first time here, was made as part of a criminal case brought against a former Australian Fed police officer who stole Bitcoin. Let's see if it impacts stuff here. Yeah, so I'm waiting until 8:45 when some of these Fed members speaking. Again, we got, let's see what we got. We have John Williams and Fed Vice Chair Philip Jefferson speaking at 8:45 today. And I know Jerome Powell's speaking this weekend. I'm going to cover it, but yeah, so Vice Chair Philip Jefferson is speaking at the Federal Reserve Bank of Atlanta Financial Markets Conference regarding liquid facilities. We got Powell on Sunday. Also, guys, if you haven't already, check out TopStep. TopStep is an affiliate or sponsor of mine. I'm biased, of course, in their favor, but I genuinely think this is good for day traders. Most day traders should be trading the futures market. It's a lot easier to trade the futures market, in my opinion. I'm not saying it's easy. I think it's easier than trying to handpick stocks to day trade. No PDT rule in futures. You could day trade the S&P, the NASDAQ, the Dow, the Russell, gold, some currencies. Very similar to day trading stocks. No PDT rule. Get you around the PDT rule. You don't have to deposit 10, 20, 30 grand to get around it and day trade actively. You can day trade as much as you want in futures. TopStep is the most legit funded program. They give you a 50K demo and they test your skill with it. If you can make 3K in profit on a demo without losing 2K on a 50K demo, so it's plenty of size. If you could do that following their rules, they fund you 50K with a 90% split. And a 90% split is very similar to funding your own account. You get to keep your first 10K prior to that split kicking in the first place. And if you fail, the base one's $50. You're out $50. It's not the end of the world. So it creates a situation where you have limited risk at $50 a month. Similar reward to funding your own account, and just taking the challenge builds your skill. Learning how to trade under pressure builds your skill as a trader. It absolutely builds your skill, teaches you how to trade in a more profound way, and it's just useful. Great way to learn. And they've paid out hundreds of millions. They fund thousands. Again, if you use my link and go to TopStepX, zero commission on TopStepX. So again, if you use my link and go through TopStepX, zero commission. And again, they're an affiliate or sponsor of mine. I'm biased. I'll put the link up right here if you want to check them out. I'll pin it to the top of the chat as well. Understand all this stuff on screen, guys. I can't guarantee anything. Not an investment professional. Understand CFTC 4.41, hypothetical or simulated performance, have limitations. Can't guarantee anything. There's the link right there. I put it up. Again, I'll pin it to the top of the chat. You can also find it in the description as well. Top 3 plugs of all time right there. Definitely top 3 greatest plugs ever. Thoughts on my approach: companies with good money balance sheets who make good money will be fine. The rest of the zombie companies that need cheap money will hurt with the Moody's downgrade. Yeah, I mean, to a certain extent, that's always true. Companies with good balance sheets are going to do well. I think that's mostly true, regardless of the credit rating. But I do think the credit rating obviously is going to impact things a little bit more. I think it depends on what the president says, Snow. So Snow says, who's the bigger impact of the markets? I think it depends on what the president says. I think if Jerome Powell is talking directly about the economy, he probably has a little bit more influence. Because I think the president's a little bit more, there's a lot more fluff with what the president says, right? Like the president is going to say good things no matter what. And so unless the president is talking about specific policies that impact markets, I think Powell has more weight in terms of market reactions. Because you got to understand, like, the president's just going to say good things no matter what. Like, it doesn't matter whether we're good or bad. He's going to say good things because that's what presidents do. I'm not judging him for it. I'm just saying that's what presidents do. They say good things. They're not going to say bad things, you know. Not very rarely will they. Jerome Powell, if he starts speaking about the economy and outlook, that's really going to move things. And so he holds more weight in my opinion. Just from me watching both, and I cover both of them if they're big enough. Powell's typically a little bit more influential, as he should be, because usually he's speaking more objectively around outlook, and that's big. So MicroStrategy filed a class action lawsuit against the company and execs. Lawsuits alleges misleading statements on Bitcoin strategy. Okay, so MicroStrategy has, let me rephrase what I just said. MicroStrategy has now a class action lawsuit filed against them and their executives. The lawsuit alleges misleading statements on Bitcoin strategy. All right, NASDAQ's coming up. So again, MicroStrategy acquired 7,390 Bitcoin between May 12th to yesterday. Again, 7,390 Bitcoin. I'll put this up on chat just so you can see the number, and we can put up MicroStrategy for a second here. Look at Bitcoin start to, or look at Nvidia start to rise. So MicroStrategy under fours. Look at Nvidia though. Nvidia might be dragging the market up. Look at this. Nvidia up to 132s right now. 132s. See if it continues. That's a few weeks old. What, the lawsuit news, I'm guessing? I don't know. I see it pop up. I'm covering it. The MicroStrategy acquisition news is recent because it covered yesterday. It said up until the 18th, which was yesterday. All right, let's see if Nvidia can get over this 132 level. UNH still rebounding back up. We got Palantir down a little bit this morning, though. It's at 124s. Yeah, a lot of stuff starting to bounce back. I'm being very careful today, guys. I'm not really, I'm going to wait until I see some good action, I think. Let me check this aspect of it. I'm looking at other data we might have today. Again, this is the last slow week we have for a while. Next week is incredibly busy. The week after is incredibly busy. But again, this week we got some Fed members speaking. We had European CPI show up this morning. So European inflation data showed up. See, this is what it's weird though. So okay. European CPI data showed up this morning. It all came in exactly as expected. There was not one thing this morning in Euro CPI that showed up anything outside of what was expected. And so either they're really, really good at predicting what their CPI is going to be, or there's another explanation. Again, CPI 2.2% year over year, month over month 0.6%. Core coming in at 1% month over month and 2.7% year over year. All of it exactly as expected here. Exactly as expected. Now, we do have, again, Bostic and Williams speaking in about 24 minutes. I'm going to prepare for this because this could influence markets. We'll have to wait and see, but they could influence markets. More Fed members speaking. We got mortgages showing up high again today. Mortgage interest rates showed up at almost 5%. Do you think 24-hour trading is affecting markets? Maybe. It might be affecting them a little bit. I think the opening bell is still the opening bell, though, which is good. Yeah, gold, if we take a look at it. Gold's been pumping up this morning, hit 32.50. Still getting pretty close to all-time highs, but it's still got a little ways to go before it hits. I think all-time highs are at 35s, right? Yeah, 35, almost exactly 35. It's a little bit over it, but just about 35s. It's at that halfway mark over 3K. It's at 32.50. Yeah, Bitcoin hit 107 at highs. So ECB's Mueller says they cannot rule out further interest rate cuts and need to clear reasons to cut significantly more. And need clear reasons to cut much more. Not obvious, they must significantly lower rates. Yeah, the bond market, we talked about this morning already. So the 10-year bonds are up a lot on the Moody's downgrade. So here's the 10-year treasury yield. I should clarify, 10 years are down. The bond prices are down. Yields are up. Because, I mean, the Moody's rating directly influences the bond market. And so, obviously, with a downgrade, bonds sold off a little bit. And yields spiked up to 4.54%, 4.55, almost 4.55. So, yeah, the bond market sold off, as it should if Moody's downgraded it. And so, yeah, yields are up. Bond prices are down, showing a sell-off in bond prices. JP Morgan CFO says inflation and fiscal deficit may constrain the available policy responses. So again, their CEO says inflation and fiscal deficit may constrain the available policy responses, meaning like we're less likely to cut. It might kind of make it hard to cut rates, essentially, is what they're saying. Yeah, just to put this into perspective, like Moody's assigns credit ratings to reflect the worthiness of a borrower. That is how likely they are to repay their debt on time and in full. These ratings from Moody's apply to government bonds, treasuries, corporate bonds, municipal bonds, structured finance products like MBSs, and sovereign debt. And so when Moody's downgrades the U.S. sovereign credit rating from AAA to AA1, it signaled a slightly higher risk of default on U.S. government debt, which is treasuries. While the U.S. is still considered credit worthy, it's no longer rated at the absolute top area. This can have an effect on bond yields, obviously, because it means the price of bonds is selling off. If there's a higher risk of default in bonds, what happens? People might sell their bonds. And in turn, when bond prices and bond yields inverse each other, when people sell their bonds, what's going to happen to yields? Yields are going to spike. It means higher yields means the cost of government. Higher yields means borrowing costs. It may cost the government more to issue new debt. downgraded investor confidence and some volatility in markets as we're seeing now today on this red open. Yeah, so, but to put it in perspective, AAA is prime. That's where we were. Now we're at AA1, which is still high quality and very low risk. As you get lower, there's A1 to A3, which is kind of medium, low credit risk. BAA1 to BAA3 is medium grade, moderate risk, and BA1 and below is speculative, like junk bonds, higher risk of default. So Moody ratings are evaluations of debt instruments, and they downgrade something like the U.S. Treasury bonds. They're signaling to global markets that lending to the U.S. is now just slightly riskier than before. So hope that puts the downgrade into perspective, what it means. In Q2, they will be printing presses. I mean, do you think they're going to do QE this year? I mean, basically, to think that the Fed might pivot to QE this year, you're basically assuming that the economy turns drastically, So I think a lot of it, to be honest, depends on what happens with tariffs. So I think if tariffs come in, if we don't get a deal done with China in the next 90 days or however many days are left, that's going to make the forecast for economic weakness spike up. Bro, I had the weirdest dream yesterday, man. I'm just now thinking of this dream. It was like we bought a house. And then somebody I'm not going to go into it, but I just now thought of this dream. Sorry. But yeah, anyways, back to what I was saying. I think the only way we're going to do QE is if we get a big turn in the economy. And I think one of the more plausible outcomes for that is if we don't get a deal done in this next 90 days. If we don't get a deal done in the next 90 days, it makes it a lot more probable that we are going to have a turn in the economy. We already had negative 0.3% GDP data. We already had negative 0.3% GDP data show up. We get the first revision data coming out next Thursday. We get the next GDP report, and so we'll see what that looks like. So Mike Wilson, Morgan Stanley's senior stock market strategist, said a dip in the stock market caused by the Moody's downgrade should be bought. He made a reference to the downgrade in his weekly research note, which focused on the interim U.S. trade deal with China, checking one more item off the list for its durable rally. He said the equity return to bond yield correlation right now is around 0. He said, quote, in our view, a breakout of the 10-year yield above 4.5% would take this correlation negative and drive more rate sensitivity for equities. He said, quote, Moody's late day downgrade of the U.S. credit rating last Friday is also worth considering in this convo, though Moody's is the last rating agency to downgrade the U.S. credit rating, a process that began 14 years ago in the summer of 2011. As I said, one did it in August 2023. Another one did it in 2011. So Moody's is just kind of the final one. And so it seems like he agrees with me here, at least. I'm not telling you to buy it like this dude. I don't know this guy. He probably knows a lot more than me, but I'm not telling you to listen to him. But yeah, point is, the Moody's downgrade is just kind of the last one. We already had the first 2 out of 3 major ratings agencies downgrade us to that level. Almost 15 years ago it started. So in short, a break above 4.5 in the 10-year yield. And this is back to quoting him. And again, in short, a break above 4.5 in the 10-year can lead to a modest valuation compression. 5% compression is around what we've gotten into prior historical analogs. We would be buyers of such a dip, end quote. And again, I'm not saying I agree with this. This is just some dude from, Morgan Stanley. All right, so Chinese foreign minister urges Germany to avoid undermining bilateral cooperation in the name of de-risking. He adds that China and Germany should jointly oppose unilateralism and protectionism. Let's try to cover the news here. The EU is going to propose to G7 finance ministers this week lower price cap on Russian seaborne oil. Where's oil at right now? Let's take a look. We got gold up there. Here's oil. We're at 61.50s. Yeah, well, your dreams go away. Like, you don't remember them. And so if something reminded me of my dream, I was, I just thought about it. All right, let's see. So we see this trending. We see this trend right here. Look. So I think everybody kind of sees this trend right now. We'll see if we get a breakout of the trend. I'm just waiting. Let's see if we test the bottom and break the downside of this trend. Oil is up over $60 a barrel though, so that's good. Palantir is still down here under 124s. Oh, let me see. Hold on. I'm looking into and so here we're starting to break down here. I'm gonna draw a trend line. That's pretty good. Yeah, I think that's probably the fair way to look at it. All right, so yeah, we're gonna look at a breakdown underneath this. Yeah, so I see somebody saying here, so they're already doing QE effectively. Look into it. China and Japan selling U.S. debt. Fed has to prop it up. Effective QE while not actually doing QE. And while this is true to a certain extent, the last time they were doing that was 2024. And we had March 2023 banking crisis, SVB, and all that stuff. The Fed established bank term funding program, allowing banks to exchange treasuries at par value for cash. The liquidity pressure eased, short-term treasury yields fell. So you're talking about foreign selling of treasuries accelerated. Japan and China cut holdings. Auctions saw weaker demand. The Fed began rolling over maturing securities into longer durations and hinted at a QT pause. Analysts described it as shadow QE or stealth support, but it's not actually the same thing. It's a little bit different. The Fed's still doing QT, really. I think they're going to end it sometime soon. It just depends on what kind of weakness we get. All right, so we're at the bottom of this trend line. Is it worth a buy? I think this trend has gone on a little bit too long, so I kind of want to short it almost, but... Look at this trend line. We've been in it all morning. Sweden has a better credit rating than we do. Yeah, but Sweden is Sweden. Honestly, they're pretty on, like, aren't they like the wealthiest nation in the world or something like that? It's something like that. I don't know. I'm just kind of throwing things out there. Hold on. Norway. Might as well be Sweden, you know. Switzerland's number 2, highest standard of living, good healthcare, high wages, strong economy, one of the higher GDP per capita, among the highest in the world. Maybe. Do you guys think this is a buy or sell right here? I'm not saying I agree with it. I'm not interested. I kind of want to short this, but it's also at the very bottom of this trend line. Like, I think everybody kind of sees this trend line here. It's at the very, very bottom of it. So, like, I'm looking at it. I speculate that Japan, China, and Canada are selling U.S. bonds. Sweden doesn't have... Yeah, I mean, we're kind of rebounding right at the bottom of this trend. We're hitting the 200 exponential, which may give us a little spot. I was about to... I'll take some micro contracts here. We'll play with micros. There we go. We'll add to it here. We'll add to it. The longer it takes to get down here, I might start cutting positions. Okay, that's better. I'm going to cut some. We just took some profit. Now we're kind of flat on the rest. I just don't want to get stuck in like a big rebound back up. If it bounces at the bottom of this trend, it's got too many buyers. We're kind of flat on this position now. If we cut it here, we'd probably be kind of green, but I want to wait. I could add some size back, though. There we go. It's better. Take some more off there. Take a little bit more off there. Now we just got 2 contracts, so we're not going to be red on this position no matter what. I could just let it ride now. We're starting to rebound back up. I'll let it test this top, but that's it. Very close to cutting it, but I just want to see if it retraces. If it gets back up there, I'm going to take half off at this very minimal level. And again, we're very green on this. Like, look. There we go. We're back to flat. We got the breakdown of the trend, and so honestly, I want to see if it keeps going, but I don't want to risk giving it all back either. And we'll cut it right there. It might reject, but we made something from it, so that's good. We're green. I still kind of want to short right here, though. Yeah, no, I think it'll still probably break down, but I'm just going to take that profit that we made. We were right about the rejection here at the 200 EMA. It might still break down, too. We'll see. Ooh, all right. So it's almost 8:30. We got anything going on today? I don't think so. Not at 8:30. We got some Fed members speaking after 8:30. I think it's at 8:45. But I think at 8:30 specifically, we don't have anything. Yeah, we don't have anything at 8:30. We got leading indicators later. I still think it's going to keep breaking down, too. Yeah. All right, so here's Fed Bostic's speech. Wait, Bostic is just doing a keynote. Let me see. Hold on. I'm trying to track this. Bostic. What is Bostic speaking? Yeah, so Bostic is speaking. Financial intermediation and transition, how will policy adapt? They're examining the evolutionary role of non-banks in digital financial services, their implications for financial stability and the future of monetary policy implementation. I don't know if this is going to be big enough to really make it worth. All right, we're going kind of choppy now. Yeah, it's a little boring right now. We did get the breakdown, though. Maybe I should have kept shorting it, but we're green on the day. That's good, I guess. I'm trying to be much more selective in my trades. So it's kind of a boring week. It really is. There's not a lot going down. All right, we did break down. I should have held that short. It's all right. All right, there's 8:30. We did break down. Still mad about it. Sell in May and go away. I don't know, man. I think the market dynamics typically, like, look, we could have a sell in May situation, but I think considering the tariff dynamic of news and what's really moving the market this year in May, I think I would be very careful just going with whatever the sell in May, go away thesis is. I just don't think that's the smartest idea here. I think you got to understand anything could freaking happen this year, considering the tariff implications and news that we got going on. I think anything could happen. And so I think just be careful. Just be careful. Usually always at 8 a.m. we get some type of big movement. It's called the 8 a.m. scrum. And so sometimes you'll see like random orders getting filled and you'll see like big candle wicks going. Usually it's reverting back to the previous closing price is generally where it goes. It goes like right back to the previous close. And so that's probably the big candle wick you're seeing. Look at this big pop. Did some market news happen? Is this, let's see, hold on. I'm trying to see if this is, hold on. No. Okay, so,
inherent in artificial intelligence and related technologies. Now, I can't take credit for choosing that topic, but it's clearly only become more salient to our understanding of financial markets and the macroeconomy since then.
I'm pretty sure this is Jefferson.
And that's the what of these conferences, and that's very important. But I also appreciate the how of this conference. We encourage frank exchanges of ideas and views. Now, we keep things civil, yet we've certainly had spirited conversations and discussions. There was a memorable panel on cryptocurrency a couple of years ago. It was a winner, I will tell you. And then some years back, we were treated to an exchange of dramatically different viewpoints on high-frequency trading that involved a Nobel Prize winner. So when you're on this stage, you have to stay on your feet because you never know what may actually happen. Now, every year, we aim to make this event stimulating and substantive. And in the 7 years that I've been doing this, the feedback that I have gotten has made clear that the goal has been achieved. And I have no doubt that this year's conference will continue in that tradition. Now, as you know, there are a few things going on right now in the world.
All right, let's see what he says.
That are relevant for macroeconomics, for financial markets, and for policy. And though trade and immigration policy are important topics, we won't be doing any kind of deep dives on them this time. But I'm sure you all are having conversations on that anyway. There'll be a lot going on there. Financial markets are ever evolving.
Okay, so he's not even going to talk about
both respond to and influence that evolution. This is why we all gather, and that is where we will focus our energy and attention these next 2 days. Our agenda promises plenty. Advancing critical conversations, seriously examining forces influencing price stability, labor markets and financial stability, and bringing to bear varied perspectives in that pursuit. Those are the fundamental reasons why the Federal Reserve System and
I don't know if they're really going to say anything regarding markets. So again, we're down in this position so far, but these are micro contracts, so we're kind of flat on the day still, especially after this little dip. We got a lot of up wicks up there. I'm hoping that we end up just breaking down. So China's foreign minister hopes to resolve the anti-subsidy case surrounding China EVs and EU as soon as possible. Like if we cut right here, we'll be about down $10 on the day, just to put it into perspective. So I just want to give it time to break down here. We're bouncing up there to the 200 exponential. We have 2 micro contracts, and so we'll be okay no matter what happens here. But Yeah, I just don't think they're going to say anything regarding... Yeah, no, I don't think he's going to say anything that is going to influence markets. I think it's just going to be... I think it's going to be boring if I cover that, chat, just to put it into perspective. So I'm probably just not going to cover what they're saying. I don't think it's going to move anything. Yeah, I'm trying to hold this long enough. I got 2 micro contracts here, very small. But I think also... All right, so U.S. Hold on, wait. We got some news that might move things here. I got to be careful with the position. So U.S. and EU trade discussions are being complicated by an internal EU disagreement over how to approach any deal with the U.S., meaning this one appears to have a long way to go before culmination, according to FBN's Gasparino, citing sources. So EU and U.S. appears to have a long way to go before they reach a deal here, according to Gasparino, citing sources. Yeah, we'll see what happens. We'll see if this moves markets, and we're also going to be covering what they say and the other stuff too. But yeah, let me find my music. Again, I'll put this data up on screen. Again, the U.S. and EU discussions. This is Gasparino citing sources is the source. What could go? Yeah, I mean, gold's going up on the Moody's downgrade, of course, because it makes gold more attractive. It makes bonds go down and gold more attractive overall. Yeah, I'm also watching like Palantir. I'm watching, let me put up like Apple. Nvidia's kind of been running the markets too. So like here's Nvidia. Nvidia's trying to get up there, but now it's kind of dipping down some. And remember, this is a challenge account right here. We're trading very small. I'm trying to trade really light today. Yeah, I'm probably going to cut it if we break over this spot. I'll let it test, though. Sorry, I was yelling for my wife. Hold on. We ended up getting out. We lost, like, we're down, like, 4. Sorry, chat. I'm trying to check something, so just bear with me here. I'm trying to track to see what the schedule is.
So look, it says Monday.
You see?
Monday 9/11 for 9th grade.
Yeah, but that's Maddie's.
I understand, but I think it's gonna be the same for the whole school.
Okay. All right. You just gotta make sure that's right. You know. Sorry, Chad. I'm talking with my wife about something. I'm trying to You think they give us a schedule? I don't see one, but I guess that means it's normal. All right. All right, chat. Sorry, checking in on my kids are have finals week, so I'm trying to track everything. We did end up getting a big rebound back up, and I think this confirms this trend a little bit more. We might have to drag it this way a little bit, but especially if you start to head up now, we might have to broaden this trend a little bit. I think now too. There you go. I think that's good. Yeah, I don't need it to be on mute. It's fine. I'm not saying any super personal information. John, at least Federal Reserve boss, they can only see one rate cut by what he said on CNBC this year, but we have to see how the economy keeps on developing. Yeah, for sure. No, 100%. All right, good. We got about 45 minutes into the opening bell today. Again, the Moody's downgrade's the biggest thing going on. A lot of Fed members speaking, and we'll cover who else is speaking. Hold on. The Fed Listens event is this week, and so the one you probably want to listen for is Philip Jefferson. Okay, wait, or that's him right now.
Convene events like this.
Yeah, I don't think he's actually, hold on, let's see what else we got. Like, I'm looking at this, it's roadmap, liquidity facilities, how it works in the U.S. So this just seems like an educational conference in which I don't think it's going to move anything. We got Bostic speaking, we got Williams speaking today. We have Fed Governor Jefferson speaking later. None of these are really going to move markets, I don't think. Most likely not, at least. Okay, so we did have some trade news that came out. So White House economic advisor Hassett says the debt ceiling will go up with the big, beautiful bill. Is that the actual name of the bill, the big, beautiful bill? Yeah, UNH is interesting. I'm not gonna mess with it because it's a dumpster fire, but it might rebound back up, and I think it probably will bounce back up. Personally, we'll have to wait and see though. Who knows? Hey, what's up, Tiny? Good morning. Yeah, the big beautiful bill today, guys. Hey, great. I don't know if I like the name. Funny name though. All right, so White House economic advisor Hassett said he, quote, would not be surprised if there are more trade deals this week. The bond markets are no longer reacting to trade deals, though. Yields are now rising with trade. Yeah, I think the yields are rising because their credit worthiness was downgraded. And so that means there's a sell-off in bonds and a rise in yields. It's not that they're not reacting as much to trade deal announcements. It's that the Moody's downgrade directly influences them. So again, Jefferson doesn't comment on outlook for rates or the economy. So that's what I said. I doubt it's going to move markets. Hassett says we'll keep a close eye on what the Chinese have agreed to. I would not be surprised if there's more trade deals this week. So now we're slightly red on the day here, but it's not a huge red. We need a small correction. What do you mean? We need. Why do we need one? What's the Moody's downgrade? So the Moody's downgrade, again, we'll cover this again. So Moody's recently on Friday downgraded the U.S. sovereign credit rating. Sorry, I bumped my mic. Downgraded the U.S. sovereign credit rating from AAA to AA1. It's the first time in over 100 years that Moody's specifically has given the U.S. a rating below AAA. Okay. At the same time, these downgrades to the U.S.'s credit worthiness have been started for the last 15 years. They've already happened over the last 15 years. Again, Standard & Poor's started it in 2011, where they downgraded to AAA plus. Fitch 2 years ago in August of 2023 lowered it to AAA plus due to concerns over fiscal deterioration. And so Moody's was the last of the three major ratings agencies to reduce these rates. To reduce the ratings in U.S. credit worthiness. And so they were the last in three major credit agencies, or last in three major credit ratings agencies, I should say. But now all three major credit rating agencies now assign the U.S. a rating below AAA, which the U.S. is still up there. Like, it's still pretty safe, but it's not as safe as it once was, according to them. And so, yeah, that happened on Friday. That's one of the reasons, like, you hear other people giving all these arguments for why bond yields are rising. This specific reason is why bond yields are going up. Like, bond yields are rising. Why? Because the price of the underlying bonds is going down. Why is the price of bonds going down? Because Moody's gave us a worse rating on Treasury government debt. And so Moody's downgraded a rating. People sold bonds because of it. When people sell bonds, what happens to yields? They go up. Again, they inverse each other. Yields and bond prices go up. So yields are up this morning. I'm sure we can look at like TLT, which is a different time frame of Treasury debt. But if we can look at TLT, it's probably going down. Yep. And again, this is because bond prices, which you can see here, are selling off. And that's why bond yields are going up. Why? Because Moody's downgraded them. That's why yields are spiking. Why is Moody being so Moody's? Or no, that's backwards. Why is Moody's being so moody? I don't know. They don't like us. Guys, they don't like us. That's what they're saying. In good news, Bitcoin, on the other hand, got up to 107s over the weekend. It's down a little bit this morning, back down to 103s or 102s, but it got up to 107s before dumping all the way back down. It's fine if it's dumping down, though, I think. We'll have to wait and see. It's fine if it's dumping down, but time will tell. Again, if you haven't already, check out TopStep. We're going to be day trading on TopStep today. We are down slightly on our TopStep account. We're kind of transitioning to the new dashboard, so we've been working on getting funded there. But no PDT in futures. If you want to day trade, futures is probably where you want to do it. No PDT rule. They give you a 50K demo. They test your skill with it. You pass the test, they fund you. You fail, you only lose what you pay for. The base one's $50. If you pass it, you get a 50K funded account with a 90% split. You can day trade the S&P, the NASDAQ, the Dow, the Russell, gold, some currencies. And learning to trade in a structured environment like this where you're risking something, you're learning how to trade under some pressure, $50 a month for the base one. But it's not the full extent of risking 5, 10, 20, 30 grand and destroying, your life savings. That makes sense. And that's very, very good for traders when they're learning how to day trade instead of risking tens of thousands of dollars like a lot of day traders do. I lost 4 or 5 grand in my first 3 weeks day trading. It makes absolutely no sense for a new day trader to risk that much. And TopStep gives people a different option. And ultimately, it's just better, in my opinion. If you pass it, you still get a 90% split. You get to keep your first 10K in profit. If you fail, you're out $50. It's the best of both worlds. And they've paid out hundreds of millions. They fund thousands. If you use my link, TopStepX, is their new dashboard, and they have a new dashboard. If you use my link and go to Top Step X, there's tons of ways to do it. It's a great way to learn how to day trade when most day traders lose money. And if you pass it, their new dashboard processes payouts quick. And so again, if you want to check it out, they're an affiliate of mine. I am biased. I can't guarantee anything. You want to confirm it all with them, but I genuinely think it's good for traders. You can check out the link right there. I appreciate the love. Thanks, John. I really appreciate your explanation. It's so confusing, but you explained it perfectly. Thank you, Carlitos. Appreciate you, brother. Thank you, sir. I try over here. I try. Higher yields means the U.S. government has to pay higher interest. Yeah. Yeah, I get a lot of people bringing up Moody's and The Big Short. If you watch The Big Short, you know the old lady with glasses on, where they're getting mad at the old lady because she's not rating the mortgage stuff correctly. That's Moody's. You know, that's Moody's. And the reason they, again, but still one of the biggest credit rating agencies in the world. So, I mean, yeah, it's not like they're not valid because of that, but, you know, still. All right, we're going to day trade the opening bell live, guys. Get ready. We're going to day trade the opening bell live. We'll see how it goes. Again, hit the subscribe button, hit the notification bell. We are going to be day trading live the opening bell. All right, guys. We're going to be day trading the market open. We got about 35 minutes left. NASDAQ still in the broad long-term trend here. Yeah, she's the White House economic advisor. I'm pretty sure Demetrius. Yeah, so White House economic advisor Hassett says 15 countries are close to trade deals. Says recent economic data has been very good and labor market is pretty much in balance according to Fed Williams. So we can see some of this news here. I'm putting this news up in the chat. So yeah, Williams voted. Let me see if he comments. Let me find this video. Still sideways, still flat. We're waiting to day trade live. But I don't really see any good action here for me. As long as the Fed keeps on the pedal, no bear market. Well, it depends. There's a lot of stuff. It depends on whether the U.S. and China get a deal done in this 90-day pause. I think that's what's going to influence a lot of stuff, is whether the U.S. and China get a deal done. during this 90-day pause. That's a big thing. That's a big story. If we do not get a deal done in this 90 days, markets are going to go down. And so, but with that said, like, I think the way you have to look at it is like this. If we do get a deal done in this 90 days, markets are probably going to fly up. If we do not get a deal done in this 90 days, with China specifically, markets are probably going down. And that's the make or break thing. Like, do we get a deal done with China in this 90 days? If we do, and the tariff stuff starts to go back behind us, that's probably going to make the market really optimistic, and markets are going to go up. If we are not able to get one done, and it's looking like a continuation of this trade battle that we've been in, that ain't good. And that will probably cause chaos and downward pressure in markets. An important factor will be if economic countries use this opportunity to dump bonds. Yeah. I don't really like Forex. I would trade futures. Forex is too much red tape. You could trade futures, get around all that red tape. Funded account programs are allowed and easier. I would just trade futures personally. You could trade some currencies in futures as well. And so personally, I would trade futures, but I'm biased. They're going to extend the 90 days. Yeah, maybe, but we'll see what it looks like. All right, guys, we're about to hit 9 a.m. I mean, the Moody's report is impacting the markets. Like, we're just covering market news. So the Moody's report is making markets way down today. I think most people expected this over the weekend. The Moody's news came out Friday. I think most people expected this to bring markets down once people digested it. And so I think that's kind of what's going on. People digested the Moody's report. Because of that, markets are opening red, but starting to rebound back up on a couple different things this morning. So it's not like the end of the world. Again, Moody's is just the last of the big three to downgrade the U.S. credit worthiness. Moody's is the last one. We already had Fitch. We already had Standard & Poor's. So we already had S&P. We already had Fitch downgrade the U.S.'s credit worthiness. It's happened over the last 14 years. It started in 2011. We got another downgrade in 2023. And then we got the last one today. And so most people already knew this was coming. They just didn't know when it would happen. And so in that regard, again, it's not the end of the world. I mean, it's significant. Again, just to clarify. All right, so Fed Williams says core fixed income markets have been functioning really well. Fed's balance sheet drawdown is not affecting market prices. We are not seeing major changes in investor interest, treasury bonds. Global investors still see the U.S. as a place to invest, and the Fed has a ways to go in shrinking its balance sheet. So again, that's Fed Williams speaking right now. White House economic advisor Hassett says the U.S. debt is the safest bet on earth. Described Moody's decision to downgrade the credit on Friday as, quote, backwards looking, end quote. Effective federal funds rate is 4.33, same as last week. Williams says consumers are still in good shape. So yeah, I mean, I've said this once, I'll say it again. Like, people always act like bonds are risky. Of course, I mean, look, the risk is very low, very low. And even at this new rating, the risks are very freaking low. And if they do fail, we got a lot bigger problems than bond payments not paying out. You got a lot more problems here. And so you got to take it with a grain of salt and understand what it really is. And again, like, look, this is the first downgrade Moody's has ever given the U.S. You could make the Moody's data seem really bad or not that much. It depends on your bias, I guess. You could say, hey, Moody's downgraded U.S.'s credit for the first time ever since 2017 when they initially gave it its AAA rating. You know, i.e. it's the end of the world. Or you could say, hey, the other two major credit rating agencies, already downgraded the U.S. And so Moody's is just the last one to do it. Either one, the truth is somewhere in the middle. It's not good, but most people saw it coming. So that's my take on it. It's not good, but most people saw this coming. And I think a lot of financial news outlets tend to sensationalize things, including myself sometimes, because it tends to get more attention. You know, like, oh no, it's the end of the world. Like fire, brimstone, doom and gloom. It's the end of the world. But the truth is somewhere in the middle. Most people saw this coming. Most people who know about the other two downgrading the U.S. over the last 14 years, they already knew this was inevitably going to happen. And so now it's happened. So we're going to get some negative bearish momentum from it. But I wouldn't panic too much. Market opens up in 27 minutes or so. Yeah, so UAW Marine drafters reached tentative agreement with GD 5-year agreement secures 30% wage hike over life of the agreement. Yeah, and I mean, Moody's justified its rating as they don't like the U.S.'s debt strategy. And so that's basically what's his name here is arguing. The bill increases spending or deficits. So it includes new spending, tax changes, entitlement reform, and is seen by analysts and Moody's, of course, as worsening the U.S. fiscal outlook. Yeah, no, I mean, I'm not disagreeing with that. Like I said, truth is somewhere in the middle. All right. Yeah, we're waiting for the opening bell now, chat. We'll see. We'll see what this looks like. Honestly, I'm ready to get this boring week over with and get the exciting week next week. I would buy TLT bonds for 65. Yeah, 25% lower. Yeah, I mean, in theory, if you want yields to go down, you want this to go up. All right, guys. So the U.S. VP Vance says they realize there's a bit of an impasse in talks overseas. I'm great. My UNH will help me a lot. My call. Yeah, I mean, UNH probably will go up. We'll see, though. TLT at 84.50 now, heading to 80. I don't really buy option contracts personally. All right, so we're down to 21 194s. Where's UNH? Is UNH up a lot today? I'm assuming it is. A lot of people told me to buy the dip. Maybe I should have. I just don't trust it. I don't know it well enough. I will be right back, chat. Right back. We got 20 minutes until the opening bell. Give me 2 minutes, 3 minutes. I'll be right back. QCOM files for a 3-part note offering, size undisclosed. All right, I'm back. No big news came out. QCOM filed for 3-part offering. NASDAQ, look at it bounce right here at the 200 exponential, though. Look at this. It's a big green candle. Can I look at Meta? Isn't Meta up? It's like 630s. Let me see. Hold on. Yeah, I mean, Meta's had a run for the last like month or so. Meta's had a big green streak. streak here. Yeah, futures are easier. I'm not going to say they're easy, but I would say they're easier than Forex. Forex, just so much stuff's going on. So you just got to be careful. Fed Williams says the Fed can take its time in assessing new data. So we're still covering what Fed Williams is saying. So essentially, again, we'll cover all of it. So Fed Williams says it's going to take time to get good read on economy. The Fed can take its time on monetary policy decisions. Tariffs can potentially raise inflation and unemployment, and the Fed can take its time in assessing new data. Again, about 15 minutes left until the opening bell. We'll trade it. I don't know what I want to do here. The market's in an upward trend, right? So first off, we've identified the trend. It's up. Second, we got the 200 EMA bounce here. I don't really want to go against the trend, I think. I'm just being much more selective and patient. I don't want to squeeze too heavy, attack too much. Press Secretary Levitt says the tax bill is one step closer to passage. The tax bill she's referencing, let me look, is, hold on one second. Whoa, look at this drop here, chat. Hold on, let's see if this is Williams talking that's causing this drop. Yeah, the One Big Beautiful Bill Act, comprehensive legislation package. Hold on, look at this drop. Every Republican in House and Senate must unite behind reconciliation bill. So Levitt is actually speaking right now.
And according to a brand new paper from the White House Council of Economic Advisors, the average family with 2 children's take-home pay will be up to $13,000 higher because of the increase in wages and reductions in tax obligations. The CEA study also said that the average overtime worker receives a tax cut of roughly $2,000. Again, this is great news for our
Okay, so
merchants,
actually, guys, what's dropping the market right now is China issued a statement on U.S. adjusting chip control. That is what just happened. China says the U.S. undermines consensus reached in Geneva talks, asks U.S. to correct wrongdoings. Okay. Yeah, so this is breaking news. That's what's dropping this market. Yeah, so again, this is what's going on. We're going to post this and yeah, that's what's going on. Again, let's see what this means, but again, China issues a statement on adjusting chip export on U.S. adjusting chip export controls. Says U.S. undermines consensus reached in Geneva. Asks U.S. to correct wrongdoing. This is turning markets down deep to the downside here. We'll see if we can get into a short. We're gonna short. We'll add if we can on the bounce. Again, this is a challenge account, so like it doesn't matter too much if we fail. But I'd like to not fail, but it's not a funded account or anything, just to clarify. I just think that this bad news might weigh the market down some more. That's not good. That shows I don't think this news is good at all. Again, it's, as I said before, it's all about whether we get a deal done with China. And this news just increases the unlikeliness of that. Small reaction so far too. Let's see if we continue to drop. There we go. All right, we're gonna take a bunch of that position off. We're now green on the day. We might add more to this. My thesis was correct that we would continue down some at least, but we will cut the rest close to break even if we get it. Maybe add some more to it. I'm gonna cut half of that position there. I'm gonna go ahead and cut this right here. So we're green on the day now. We brought ourselves back to green on this position, and maybe we'll short another little bounce up unless like something good is said. I will short this pop up here, see if we can wreck back down. There we go. Again, we posted the news on our X page at Beginner Trades if you want to follow along. So again, China issued a statement. I'll put this up on screen. I'll put this up on the top now. All right, we're gonna go ahead and cover some of this and just hold one. We got a lot of this big news showing up at the top. Yeah, I'm gonna go ahead and cut the rest right there. So we're up. Hold on, let me fix this. Somewhere along the lines. There we go. I think this is bad, so I'm gonna start shorting some more into this. I think there's a small reaction based off of what it is too, but don't copy me, not an investment professional. And add a little bit more up here. See if we reverse down. We're about to hit that 200 exponential. So I'll go ahead and take some trades here and see if we get a correction to the downside. There's 5 contracts. See if we turn down. Take some off here. Protect. Give the rest a little while to work. There we go. There we go. Oof. Very volatile right now. Basically flat here. I'm waiting to see if we turn down, but man, a little whippy. Let me put this up on screen. That's the news. I'm trading NASDAQ futures. I find it very strange we're going to go right back up and this news is going to be nothing. So I'm just going to sit in this and wait and see if we turn. We're still green from this trade, just to put it into perspective. Yeah, that's what I thought. I'm going to cut some of this here, just one contract. Yeah, see, this is what I thought would happen. I was kind of surprised. Yeah. It took a little while, but... There we go. Yeah, I thought this would happen. I was surprised in that, like, we had less of a reaction than we did. It's a little whippy, though, but... I'm going to give it some time. A 200 exponential, just a major milestone level in these charts. There we go. We'll take another half off. Wait on the rest. And popping right back up. add to this. Take maybe 3 contracts here. All right, the president says they're going to speak with Russian president. If we lose here, I mean, we're going to go back to slightly red on the day, but we were down like 50 bucks, I think. So no matter what, we're going to make something. This is probably very close to where I'm going to cut it, though, if we start heading back up. Yeah. Still surprised we didn't get more of a red reaction, but that's okay. All we can do is have a thesis and try to follow it, but I'll sit tight and wait. It's a challenge account, like I said, and we're trading micro contracts, so we'll be alright regardless. Still surprised we didn't get a deeper red reaction from that news. I don't think that news is good at all, personally. Let's see what the chat says. Yeah, we got a bunch of Fed speakers. Some of them aren't going to mean much, though. Like, Williams said some things regarding the economy. I think Jefferson didn't. So we'll see if they mean anything. Look at that candle. All right. Hey, good luck. I love you. Have a good day.
Do you know what a block would be? Or a block?
No.
Because I forgot to charge my calculator yesterday.
What kind of block?
Charger block.
I mean, you can go check. Ask your mom.
She said ask me.
I don't have any. I have this one, which I need. I literally have no other ones. Check till you can tell her to use in the room. But I would ask her. Blocks are a really sought out item in my household. Fed Jefferson says the impact of tariffs on the Fed's mandate is top of mind. Risks to the mandate depend on the policy choices by the admin, choices which are not yet be made. Let's see if we get the red reaction that I thought we would from this report. Maybe it's a delayed reaction. There we go. That's a big red candle. And we took half off. Hello? Hello? Yes, Jack. Okay, buddy, listen to me. Listen, Jack, listen to me. Hey. Sorry, so my son had finals this week, and so my son had finals this week, so I'm trying to coach him into what he has to do. See, we only have 2 micro contracts here, so like even if we get out here, we're down like 50 on a day in a challenge account, which is nothing. I'm trying to trade really small. I'm just surprised we're right back to where we were. I think that's strange. So White House says the president is open to a meeting with the Russian president. Adds everything is on the table, including secondary sanctions. And what's weird is like, so we broke this trend that we were in now. We've got some weird price action. And now we're just kind of skating sideways. And so I want to see if we come back down, but I'm not the most optimistic about it. But I do want to see if we come back down now. Yeah, no. I had to kind of snap my son. My son said, hey, I don't have time to come give you a hug today. And so I said, hey. So I basically quizzed him on everything he needed to know today for his final. So that's what you heard me saying. Hey, Jack, listen to me, Jack. Because I needed to kind of refresh his brain and be like, listen, dude, you have to indent your paragraphs. Leave a little bit of space. Indent each paragraph you do. If you do not, you're going to get points off. Indent. You know, make sure you indent. I'll probably have to call him again on the way and remind him. But yeah, that's kind of what I was doing. Yeah, I'm still short. It's a very small position though. Like it looks big because of all the ticks, but these are micro contracts. So like just to put this into perspective, these 2 contracts I am currently down $70 something on, and we're already green on the day. So like it's small. It's not big. It looks big, but it's small. You know. All right, White House on Moody says world confidence in the U.S. economy. World has confidence in the U.S. economy. Adds President Trump disagrees with Moody's assessment. So this news just happened too. How to not get mad at kids? Just breathe, you know. Wait a couple seconds before you say anything if something frustrates you, you know. That's what I do. But I'm not the world's perfect parent, but I try to do a good job. Yeah. Very strange reaction, though, I think, to this China news. I don't think this China news is good at all. Oh, snap. That's the opening bell. I'm holding through the open. Huh? That's a risky thing. I'm out. I didn't realize we had the opening bell this close. Sheesh. All right. We're here. Top 10 parent. All time ever in the world. All right, markets push it up. Again, we had China news after China basically came out saying that we weren't holding up the end of our deal that we discussed in Geneva, Switzerland over last week, the weekend before last. We originally reacted negatively, but the market's pumping up a little bit here. I'm going to put up NVIDIA because I think NVIDIA is going to be an influence over markets. Here's NVIDIA. White House says the U.S. president will help direct talks with Speaker Johnson over the weekend. He said the president will continue to be engaged with House and Senate. The news came out about 20 minutes ago. Here. NVIDIA up. United Health down a little bit this morning. Hey, hit the subscribe button, hit the notification bell. We got over 1,000 here for the open. I appreciate the love. Thanks so much. All right, we got a big pop at the open. Things look strong. United Health is dumping down, though, under $300. Nvidia had a decent little pullback here. And we're looking at everything else. Apple falling under 207s at the opening bell. All right, now we're turning down a little bit since the opening bell. I'm going to let some things pass, though. All right, Nvidia at 133s. It looks like it wants to bounce, but only because it's a challenge account am I going to buy right here. It's a little bit close to the opening bell. We'll play with it, but we'll give you guys some excitement towards the open. See if we retrace. There we go. That's better. Take half off there. Take another piece off. Maybe add to this if it continues higher. Took another little piece off. And try to hold this close to break even on the rest, but let it ride if it's going to go up. So we're going to cut it right there. All right, so we made money on that one. Nvidia did turn, though. Look at Nvidia turn to the downside here. Wow, Apple's breaking down too. So what's driving the market up right now? I'm going to short this. Kind of a risky move shorting this top, but we didn't really get the big turnaround I wanted, so still green since the opening bell, but not as much we're getting really close to that high. I don't feel like messing with this. I'll wait. Apple is still breaking down here. So what's dragging the market up? Let me pull up. I got to pull up more charts. Now we're roughly flat since the opening bell, but I'll wait for some good stuff. Meta, Google. Google's up. Netflix. Microsoft. Microsoft is on a churn up here. So Microsoft's what's dragging the market up. Microsoft up to 455s this morning at the open. I think my short probably would have worked, but there's a little bit too much risk. Yeah, I hold both. Moody's news came out Friday, Ryan. So, I mean, I think Apple's reacting negatively over the China news, most likely. Nvidia's starting to churn back up too. Look at that big old candle, guys. Big green candle at the opening bell. Let's see if it holds. Apple looking weak, though. Microsoft's still very strong. Netflix up there, too. Are you concerned about the yields being 5%? The yields are going to be up today, though, man. The yields are going to be up because the U.S. had its credit worthiness downgraded, which means that there's going to be a sell-off in bonds, and that's going to spike yields. That's what happened. Yeah, it's looking too strong for me. I'm just gonna wait. See if we can find some move here. I'm definitely surprised we reacted this way, especially after the China news. I think the China news is bad, but who knows, man? You don't ever know, especially the open. But just be careful, guys. And again, while we're waiting for a strategy, if you want to check out Top Step and help support your favorite YouTuber, I'll put the link up. Great way to help support the channel here. Again, Top Step, best way to learn day trading. If you're good enough, you can make money with Top Step. They give you a 50K demo. If you pass their test, you got to make 3K without losing 2K in profit first, following their rules. If you do that, they fund you 50K with a 90% split. If you make money following that, you can start taking withdrawals. And their new dashboard processes withdrawals very, very quickly. One of the fastest in the game to process withdrawals on their new dashboard. Great way to learn. And most day traders lose. And so you got limited risk as well. It's $50 a month prior to getting funded. So if you fail, you're out $50. It's much less than most day traders end up losing in the beginning. If you had $50 yourself, you wouldn't even be able to day trade most likely unless you use something like this. And so incredibly useful. You can day trade in futures, the S&P, the NASDAQ, the Dow, the Russell, gold, some currencies. And if you use my link, go to TopStepX, 0 commission through TopStepX. Great way to learn. If you want to check them out, here is the link. Tons of great resources, teaches you how to trade. Just a beautiful thing for new traders and experienced traders alike. If you want to get funded and fund your own account with the profits, you can do it. And yeah, there's the link in chat. It's also pinned at the top of the page. Make sure you understand all this stuff on screen. I can't guarantee anything. Not an investment professional. Not liable. If you lose, make your own assessment. Trade responsibly, guys. Look at this huge bullish surge in markets right now. Huge bullish surge. Maybe a little squeeze happening to shorts, but crazy big run. I'll switch to our actual funded account here for a second, and we'll wait. See what happens. What a surge. Yeah, I think shorts are getting squeezed, personally. All right, so we're in our funded account. UNH still heading back up at 305, so let's see if that holds. So we had a big move up. Now we're starting to creep back down here. Back up, testing this high level here. We're kind of fading back down. Look at that candle, man. Whippy. See if there's any news showing up. In a briefing with House Repub leadership staff, a briefer, said that it's not decided yet whether the leadership will offer to raise the 30,000 SALT deduction cap. Nasdaq starting to turn a little bit here after big strength most of the day. Look at this drop. Very large pullback here. Chinese state banks will cut deposit rate on Tuesday, according to Reuters. Big strength coming through at the opening bell. Let's see if we can find some trades to get in. Nvidia still testing tops up here. I can try to short this. I'm going to wait, see if we break the high first and get a rejection. There's the high break first. Jump in short, small. One micro contract though, we're trading very light. I don't want to fade this strength too heavy. There we go, starting to come down a little bit, but not much. Let's give it some time. I'm going to cut it right there. I don't like that retracement back. It might work. We're basically flat. But as soon as we get that retracement, I want to see if it break down a little bit more. As soon as we get that retracement back up there, I don't want to risk it breaking highs right now and going up. So we'll get out flat and figure it out what we're going to do now. We're up a lot though, but the momentum's really heavy. Nvidia's driving it. Nvidia at basically 134s, 135, so it's getting close. I don't want to short Nvidia strength. Yeah, I mean, Ryan, you've been telling everybody to short. Just to put this into perspective, Ryan, and it's fine, like, but you've been telling everybody to short since right here, bro. You know what I mean? So you can act like you're making money somehow shorting this. But, and it's all love here, bro. It's all love here. But come on now, dude. It's all love. All right, guys. Microsoft, again, driving this run. It's at 458s right now, making big moves. Let's see if I got a level right here at 21,350s. I'm curious now. Netflix just broke highs. Highs at market hours, at least. And I wouldn't usually say anything, Ryan, but like, it almost seemed like, never mind. It's all good, bro. It's all good, dude. All right, so let's see if this 350 holds as resistance here. Yeah, the opening, honestly, we're getting a lot of strength, especially after the China news I thought was bad. I think we're just filling some of the gap we got from Moody's gap down. Like, we had Moody's news Friday. Market's basically gapping down on the downgrade to U.S. credit worthiness. And we're just kind of squeezing some of the shorts out on that bounce. Yeah, we got to pull back in like Apple. Apple's still looking really weak. Meta's pushing up though, and Microsoft's pushing up, and Google is as well, and Nvidia. So Nvidia has basically been on a big run up. So China came out earlier today. We posted this on our X.com page. China came out earlier today. They issued a statement on U.S. adjusting chip export controls. They said the U.S. undermines what they reached in Geneva, Switzerland, a couple weeks ago. And they're asking the U.S. to correct their wrongdoings. This news came out right here. Look, and it did pop markets down. But the market ended up just getting bought up right afterwards. So it just running all morning, basically, this morning. Yeah, no, I'm not mad at you if you're wrong, Ryan, about shorting. I just don't want to see you act like you were right, because that's silly, bro. Because, again, like I said, man, you've been telling people to short since back here, bro. You know? And so you can act like you somehow made money on this or on this. But I think that's a pretty small, tiny little window. But it's all love. It's all good. You know? Market's still ripping up here, guys. Look at this. That's it. After a certain point, I was like, I don't feel like shorting this. We're basically flat on this funded account. We are down $7. And we're just waiting. If we just start to get some deeper red action, it's okay. But yeah, I mean, last week was weird too. Last week we had University of Michigan consumer sentiment and inflation expectations. Very low consumer sentiment, very high inflation expectations. On Friday at 10 a.m. we got that report. We covered it live. And so we've been running on bad reports. Absolutely. Weird markets, to be honest. Hard to make money, for sure. So I'm not really knocking anybody's wrong short thesis, because it's been hard to make money in this. And so, yeah, I'm trying to trade smaller. I've been trading a lot of challenge accounts. And, you know, to be honest, been failing some of the challenges. But I think it's a hard market to make money in. And I'd rather fail a couple challenge accounts than just destroy other ones. So yeah, we are ripping up on mostly bad news. Interesting. I mean, the only justice, like, I can give a thesis around it, which is that we opened up really red. You know, so here is us on Friday, May 16th. Moody's news came out here. So I mean, the idea, I guess, is that we dropped so much, now we're getting bought up, and I guess that makes sense. With that in mind, though, I would think maybe we could start shorting here, but I'm not. I don't want to risk too much. Yeah, that's I tend to think it's not going to last, but who knows, man? You never freaking know. Markets can pump up and do all kind of weird stuff. And I think the catalysts that are going on right now are hard to gauge the reactions. Like somebody said, we're getting a lot of strong reactions to bad stuff. Michigan consumer sentiment. There's no way you can interpret Michigan consumer sentiment inflation data as good. Moody's downgrade definitely is not good. But I think we're already down so much from Friday that we're probably just filling some of this gap, is what it looks like to me. And remember, like, even profitable traders, you're not going to make money every day. And so, you know, you might have some people that try to, like, critique you or me or whomever, but most of the time they're the worst traders. The ones that are super loud, attacking others, like, they're usually just the least profitable traders out of everybody. Understand, even the best traders are going to lose, depending on their days, 30 to 40% of the days they trade. You know, generally it depends on the strategy, though. And so I just try to, like, if I'm not doing great, I try to just scale down. Like I said, I trade a bunch of challenge accounts and stuff like that just to not give it all back. I'd prefer. I mean, I've been trying to switch over to Top Step's new dashboard anyway. But yeah. Hey, thank you, Big Play. Appreciate it, dude. Thank you, sir. I'm trading micro E-minis. I mean, no offense, Ryan. You just sound mad, brother. It's all good. It's all love. Good day to you. I'm the third best loser of money in the world. Me too, bro. I'm definitely top 3 today, for sure. I'm honestly only down $7. I just don't like the risk today. I kind of want to short it, but the momentum's been so strong. I don't know what I want to do. And any thoughts on when UNH might bottom out? It might have already bottomed out for all I know. Like I said, I think it's still really low. It might have already bottomed. I think there's probably like a high probability long setup right now, but do not copy me. I have no freaking idea what I'm talking about. It might crash tomorrow, but it's down a lot. It's down over 50% since November of last year. Over 50% since November. It's down almost exactly 50% from April 10th. So a month and 9 days. So, or whatever that is. It's down almost exactly 50% from then. And this is a big company that big money is involved with. I tend to think they're going to buy it up. But again, I'm not going to take the trade. It's too risky. Tesla call option. I don't know, man. The only reason I don't like Tesla call options right now is because Tesla is already up so much in the last, in the last 3 weeks. Tesla's up from $200, $220, all the way to $340. That's a huge percentage. It's the only reason I don't like a Tesla call option right now. I tend to think it might correct back down a little bit, even if it continues going back up. And so because of that, I'm not messing with a call option on Tesla right now. If it's super long term, it'll still probably be fine. But if it's short term, I don't like it. And again, I don't know what I'm. Again, don't copy me. I have no idea what I'm talking about. I might be wildly wrong about everything I say. But yeah. You know. To get the new dashboard, you just gotta go to the link, click it, sign up. Well, Tesla's stock price was down so much, Vegas. So you gotta understand, like Tesla stock, why did it rebound so much? It's because it was down so much to begin with. So Tesla stock was down from 488 in December of last year, so less than 6 months ago. It was at almost $500. It then dropped over the next 4 months. It dropped all the way down to $200 a share. That's a big drop. That's like 60%, or around 60%. And so that's a 60% drop in 3 months. It's not a crazy thing to assume it's going to bounce right back, at least a little bit, and fill some of that downward drop. Most of the time, they're not going to hold the entire downward drop. The only people that are going to think Tesla just goes down to zero are people who kind of like, you know, they dislike the political side of everything there, and so they want Tesla to fail. But it's unlikely. It is too much big money is involved. When big money is involved in any big company, it becomes less likely that it holds on the downside the entire huge move that it just made. I might have phrased that a little poorly, but when big money's involved, they tend to prop things up. And yeah. Same thing with UNH. I think UNH will probably come back some. And it already has, but you never know, man. If they continue to find bad stuff with UNH, it might just keep falling down. I'm not sure. Yeah, we got a little rejection here. Like I'll feed into it and short one micro contract. Somebody said short a practice account. I'll short micro, like one micro contract. And that way if I lose, it's not the end of the world. Chat will still say I'm the top 3 worst trader of all time. And they might be right. But if I want to short really bad, I just short one micro. And then we'll use one of my levels above me as a risk area. Because even this is what, 30 something ticks. This is $20. So it could be worse. A lot of it's going to depend on what Nvidia, Apple, and all the rest of these do. But we're back down to flat in the position now. And we basically had a sideways 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 candles. So we'll give it a second. Yeah, but I hear so many different, like, some people say Tesla cars are the greatest cars ever. They're amazing. They're awesome. And then other people say they're pieces of junk. And so it's hard to figure out what the truth is there. It's so polarized politically that it's really hard to figure out what the truth is. Like, some people say they're the worst cars ever. Some people say they're the greatest cars ever. Truth is usually somewhere in the middle with most things. But, yeah, I don't know. I really don't know. I don't own a Tesla, so... Where's my music? Hold on, there it is. The pullbacks have been very small today, though. So, like, we've gone up, tiny little pullback, gone up, tiny little pullback, gone up, tiny little pullback, gone up, very small pullback. And so that's why I'm only trading one micro here, because I just don't trust this. The little bitty pullbacks have worked. This is the most extended pullback we've had, though. It's you know, probably a 10-15 minute dip so far. So because of that, I'm going to give it time. I'm also watching Nvidia on the right side, see if Nvidia breaks down. Apple's been down a lot. It's hitting some major milestone levels as well on the above it. So we'll see if some of this stuff gets pushed down. But we're basically flat on the day on our funded account. We're just trying to trade really small and not give too much back. Yeah, and I think the variance is high, you know. Whichever side's right is going to act like they're a genius. But I think nobody freaking knows where we're going to go here. All right, we're now green. We'll wait now. I just don't want this dip to get bought up, which it certainly could, right? Like, this little pullback could easily get bought up. We could retrace back to the top of the range. But I'm going to wait. I hope I'm not predicting this, too. Because, honestly, what's pushing up still is Meta. Meta's still going up. Yeah, look, there we go. Back to the top of the range. All right, we're going to get ready to cut it. Yeah, we're out. Woo, avoided that pop. Almost lost on that pop, too, but man. Yep. I hate it when I'm right and I'm in the opposite direction. Please don't say that. Yeah, we're just trying to trade small. We're down like $40. So it'll be all right. Oh, we have the U.S. leading index. It came in at -1% versus -0.9%. Basically flat, though. I don't think that's moving markets. Maybe, though. Let's see. Nah. Look at this surge back up here, though, guys. Do I talk to subscribers? No, I never talk to them ever. I don't even know what a subscriber is, bro. I'm the greatest and worst trader of all time is all I'm saying here, chat. Again, subscribe, hit the notification bell, chat. We appreciate the love. Thanks so much. Again, I think I got to just shut it down. We're down a little bit. It could be worse. I think I'm just going to wait and hang out and just chill. We are at 21,387s, 21,388s. We are down $40 on the day. Haven't really wanted to take too much risk. I was short biased in the beginning of the day, and we ended up just ripping up. And so I'm just not really liking much today. I would rather get out pretty much flat on the day and come back and fight another day than, yeah. What advice would you give to a new trader? Trade small and slow. Ignore most people because, especially in the beginning, you have your own best interest at heart. And so you're going to get pulled in all these different directions. You're going to have people telling you should buy or people telling you should sell different securities. In the end, most of them are just trying to prop up their own portfolios. The easiest statistical edge is long-term investing. And mostly what this channel covers is just economic reports and data. We cover market news as it happens. And we trade, but I don't even claim to be a good trader. We just kind of try to help new traders understand stuff. When most day traders lose, doesn't matter what course you take, who you follow, most day traders are going to lose, you know. And so just understand that. And yeah. Good luck. We'll see you guys later. Again, if you want to check out Top Step, if you want to learn to day trade, the easiest way to test your skill and see if you're ready is to try Top Step's funded account program. They give you a demo with that. They test your skill. If you fail, you only lose $50 for the base one. If you pass it, you get a funded account. You get to trade on that, see how you trade under pressure. If you're good enough, you can withdraw and fund your own account with the profits. If you fail, you're out $50. It's the best of both worlds. You can check it out pinned at the top of the chat, as well as the link in the description. Honestly, market is up a lot since the opening bell. We're still down from the Moodys thing, though. So, again, here's the Moodys rating aspect of it. This is where Moodys came in at. So this is where Moody showed up, and then this is where we are now. So we're kind of filling some of this gap that we had since the Moodys thing. But yeah, I mean, we're basically flat on the day. We were mostly trading challenge accounts and trying to, like, what I was trying to do most of the day is get into a position, and if it went really green, add to it. But I was short biased, and yeah, that didn't work out today. So very small, though. We lost $40 on our funded account. Very small. So yeah. I'll see you guys later. Y'all be good. Have a great day. Again, hit the subscribe button. I'll be back tomorrow bright and early. I don't think we have too much stuff going on tomorrow either. But we got a lot of Fed speakers. Oh, we got the Fed Listens thing tomorrow. So just be ready for that. Y'all be good and have a good day. Be safe. See you guys next time.